Hello everybody, I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. Today we're going to be talking about your winter storm that could be impacting parts of the Northeast and Midwest with some pretty hefty snowfall. And we're going to be going over the European, GFS, and Canadian model, and we're going to kind of be dissecting why they're showing what they are and what differences they have in the models. Before we do get into it though, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Now here's the National Weather Service. We have quite a lot going on over the Northwest and not so much over the East. It's been quite a trend lately. We've had not so much going on in the East and a lot over the West. Now over the Northwest we have air stagnation advisories in the grays. We have some winter weather related advisories over Montana, northern Wyoming, and northwest South Dakota. In those purples, that's going to be a winter weather advisory where you could be picking up generally a 1 to 3 inch amount, a 3 to 5 inch amount around that in those dark blues. And then once you get into those pinks, that's about a 6+ inch amount over the next about 24 hours. Now we have red flag warnings over parts of western Nebraska, western Kansas, and eastern Colorado. High wind warnings, high wind warnings in effect for parts of southeast Wyoming. And then we have some freeze watches and then freeze warnings, where you could have your first freezes of the season over parts of Georgia and South Carolina. Now, we're going to talk about your eastern U.S. snowstorm from the European model first. Now, this is a general view of the entire U.S., and we're going to be going through and doing breaking it down from the Mid-Atlantic and then to the Northeast, and kind of timing it out for those specific regions. So you see, by tonight, it's coming out of the north, and you see you have that first front, and that's not going to be your big system. This is just going to be just some clipper that moves out into Canada, only bringing about an inch to 2 inches out of this little clipper system. This next clipper is the one that's developing over Montana. Now, this is what you're having winter weather advisories about, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, all due to this one system. And by Sunday morning, you're seeing it coming out of Canada. Now it's gonna move into the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin by Monday morning. So for your morning commute in Chicago, you could have some moderate snowfall, anywhere from about Colorado and Wyoming all the way up and starting to stretch into parts of the interior Northeast. Now you're really having a developing low pressure. It really starts to develop once it gets over about Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, and then it's going to really start to intensify from there. Now, as you see, it continues to move on, and this is a snowstorm that we could actually see some snow in the south. So pay attention to the south. Look, Arkansas, southern Missouri, Kentucky, seeing snowfall or a mix or freezing rain. Now it continues into Tennessee, Kentucky. By Tuesday morning, you're going to be seeing snow. Now, how much of this is actually going to accumulate? Probably none of it. You might just see some snow flurries. So if you're not used to snowfall, it's not going to be a big deal. It's most likely not even going to affect your travel. Potentially a bit of slick roads, so drive a bit slower, but nothing really too important to mention there. Just a couple of snowflakes falling out of the air. Maybe a coating could accumulate. And then over the interior Northeast, interior parts of upstate New York into western Pennsylvania and the Great Lakes, some of this could be lake enhanced, by the way, are seeing some pretty hefty snowfall by Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon rolls about, and then this is when the big cities get in on the snowfall by about Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Philadelphia, New York City, Boston is Boston is still in the rain, but Boston's eventually gonna get into the snow. So then it moves out into Boston by Tuesday night. So Boston could really have a pretty challenging commute, and some of this will stick because your grounds are pretty cold over there. Temperatures this morning were right around 20 degrees, some teens, so the ground is definitely cold enough to have this stick to the ground. So potentially a coating, maybe an inch accumulating there. So first flakes of the season for many of you, but actually there was a couple of lake effect that actually made it all the way down to the coast. So potentially not even your first flakes, some areas seeing their second flakes or third flakes of the season, and then it moves out, and then by Wednesday morning it's just over about Cape Cod and then into eastern parts of Maine, and then it has that lake effect machine starts to turn on, and you're seeing a bit more lake effect. Now here's your total snowfall from this event. Now over these areas, some of this is from that Clipper system, and then also some of these higher amounts are from lake effect that's just going to be continuing to affect those areas. And we actually made a video about that a couple days ago, forecasting that, and it's starting to happen. So quite an accurate forecast right there. Now over to the northwest, you're seeing about 3 to 6 inches. Higher elevations seeing around 10 to 12 inches. Then as you start to, as it intensifies over about Missouri, Arkansas, and it starts to dump a bit more snowfall, and you see a lot of snowfall, about 1 to 3 inches widespread, anywhere between West Virginia and the Virginias, all the way up through the Great Lakes, and then some areas closer to the Great Lakes where you could have some lake effect, and the interior northeast where you'll just be cold enough that you can stay as snow the entire event. You'll see about a foot of snowfall. I'm not going to forecast that much just yet. I'm forecasting some areas to see about 5 to 8 inches, but it's hard to really pinpoint where, because a lot of these areas are going to be lake enhanced, and it's hard to forecast lake enhancement. So I'm forecasting about 3 to 5 plus inches, and you'll see that with my map that I made at the very end of the video. Now, here's the GFS model, and as we continue here, the GFS model, here's a simulated radar. So you see this low pressure system is going to start, this is the first low pressure system. You have 2 high pressures. This high pressure bringing cooler temperatures to the eastern U.S., and this high pressure that's going to be bringing cooler temperatures to the western U.S., and that's going to allow to see some colder temperatures, allowing for some snowfall over the northwest. Now, as we continue, you see how it forms over about Montana, British Columbia, Alberta, and then it moves out into the Dakotas, and then it reforms as it gets some of that moisture from the Pacific, and then also from the Gulf, kind of a double whammy. And you see, gonna have a lot of moisture here over the central and eastern part of the country. Now, heavy snowfalls, heavy snow coming over northern Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, southern Illinois, and then stretching into the interior northeast by Tuesday morning, and then by Tuesday night, it's kind of moved out into about Long Island, Boston, and then most of New England by this point is actually seeing snowfall, and then it wraps up by Wednesday morning, and then you see getting ready to get another Clipper system over the extreme northern U.S. Now here's your snowfall from the GFS model, and you see a good 1 to 3 inches. Some areas in those purples picking up 6 plus inches, and then over the interior northeast you see a good area seeing snowfall, at least a coating anywhere from DC up through Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston, and then up through the coast of Maine. And then once you get interior, you're seeing about 3 to 6, 12 inches in some areas, especially closer to the lakes where you could have some areas, one area seeing 6 inches and other areas seeing maybe 2 inches of this from the system, all because of lake enhanced snowfall. Now, we're going to time this out and kind of be zoomed in on the Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes for this first one, and then we're going to zoom in on the Northeast afterward. So you see we're over southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, around the Chicago area by Monday morning, and then over the Great Lakes by Monday night, and it's starting to get into those big cities like Cleveland and into Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Detroit's in here now, and then really heavy snowfall starting to develop over parts of Ohio and Indiana, and you see that rain snow line is all the way down from Kentucky, southernmost Missouri, and then into Arkansas. Now, as we continue, you see that back-end snowfall, especially over the interior northeast and the Appalachian Mountains, and it starts to move into New York City and Philadelphia and New Jersey by about Tuesday afternoon. So this would be around Tuesday 1 p.m., between about 1 to 4 p.m. You could have some snow showers, some moderate to heavy at times, and it's really going to be a bit more scattered, especially on the southern side of this on where people see the heaviest snowfall, and then it moves out a transition back to rainfall as we kind of heat back up, and then it moves out. Now here's your total snowfall zoomed in again, and you see some areas seeing about 10 inches of snow, especially near those lakes again, and then a good swath, not even lake enhanced, seeing about 3 to 5 inches. Now we're going to look at the GFS for the same region, or at least as close to the same region as I could get. Now, you see how it starts to develop by about Monday afternoon, and then by Monday or Tuesday morning, it's out into the Virginias, and then it moves out of frame. Now, here's your total snowfall from the GFS model, and you see another good area in this, mainly the same areas, some discrepancies, but mainly 1 to 3 inches. Some areas seeing 6+ inches. Now we're going to zoom in on the Northeast here from the European model, and you see by Monday night, again, it's moving into the Great Lakes, and then by Tuesday morning, really, Buffalo, Syracuse, actually Syracuse isn't in this by now. It's right on that line, not seeing precipitation just yet. But for your morning commute, Syracuse definitely could be seeing some pretty heavy snowfall into Buffalo and interior upstate New York, western Pennsylvania, northern Vermont, northern Maine. You guys all could be seeing pretty heavy snowfall totals over this area, maybe an inch per hour over some of these areas, maybe 3/4 of an inch per hour of snowfall. Then it starts to move a bit further to the east by Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon. Again, that's when the big metro areas starts to get into this snowfall, and then moves out into Boston by Tuesday night, and then it's pretty much all said and done except for eastern Maine by then, and then that's when the lake effect machines start to turn on, and then it moves out. Now, here's your total snowfall for many of these large cities, probably only a dusting to some areas accumulating to an inch, and then the interior regions seeing about 6+ inches. Now, we're going to look at the GFS model over the same area, and you see lake effect snowfall being enhanced there. You could still have lake effect snowfall even though you do have low pressure over that area, or you already have ongoing moisture. Lake effect snow can still be coming in through there, so even though it's not all lake effect snow, there is definitely some lake effect enhancement, especially is pointed out here, a heavy band of snow here, and then you see heavier bands closer to the lake, so definitely most of that is lake enhanced. And then the best indication of that is over in Michigan, where you see just some snow showers, some moderate at times over the lakes. Now, as we move into Tuesday morning, it starts to move into the closer to the coast, and then by Tuesday afternoon it is on the coast, and then Tuesday night it's off the coast again. Now here's your total snowfall zoomed in for the Northeast, and you're seeing generally 1 inch around the coast, and then once you get closer inland you're about 1 to 3 inches, 3 to 5 inches, and then you're seeing about 6 to 10, 12 inches in some areas. European model, or the GFS model, showing 20+ inches over some of the White Mountains over there, but I'm really not buying it. I don't think this is as powerful as a system as some of these models are actually showing. Now, we're going to look at the model trends for a second, because the European and the GFS have been consistent for the most part on this, couple of little changes here and there, but the CMC model, or the Canadian model, has been the big one that, if you remember, I think my last video, just about 2 days ago, it was showing a big coastal storm, 6+ inches over this area, and now it's showing about a dusting to an inch over these areas, so a big change. So this is over the same time period, Tuesday morning, over the European model. So this is what the European model was showing. This is the last model run, the model run before that, the model run after before that, and then the model run before that, and then the model run before that. Now here's the GFS model. Here's this current model run at Tuesday morning. Now here's the model run before that, the model run before that, the one before this, the one before that, and you see the GFS model. If we kind of go back, you see how at first it had we'll kind of map this out for you. So this is where the original one was. This is where the original low pressure was. Now here's where the second low pressure was. Now here's where the third low pressure is. over here, and then as we continue, here's where it showed the 4th model run down. Here's the 6th model run down. You see a lot of discrepancies here from the GFS model, and it's showing either a weaker or a stronger low pressure. So you see it's really noticeable how the low pressure has generally been in the same area, but there's been some tweaks to where the low pressure actually was located. Now the CMC model, I really want to show you this. So this is what it's currently forecasting for Tuesday morning. Now here's the model run before that. See, generally the same, but here's the model run before that. So you see it has that low pressure centered over Maryland. Now the model run before that had it off the coast of Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Now, here's the model run before that. It had it all the way down in North Carolina. Now, here's the model run before that, and it was off the coast of Delaware, Maryland, and into Virginia. Now, that a pretty big switch. It was showing a coastal low just about 48 hours ago. Really shows how much a model can change in just 2 days, even sometimes 24 hours, and the model has completely shifted. Now here's my forecast. So here's my forecasted storm track from this system. You see, here's your low pressure and here's your storm track indicated in this red line. So of course you have to kind of imagine this line, this low pressure kind of moving through here, mainly snow on this back side of here, and then we have the heaviest snow over parts of the interior northeast where you could have heavier rates. Now snow slash rain where you could have some mixing in the valleys over parts of the southeast or more of the mid-Atlantic, the Tennessee Valley, and then once you get down into the southeast and to the south of this system, you could be seeing just mostly rain, potentially some mixing in there with some sleet, freezing rain, but for the most part, this is what I'm forecasting. Now here's my map for snowfall totals, and your key is on the right hand side. So here's a coating. Everywhere here we'll be seeing at least a coating of snow. Now how much of this actually sticks to the ground, especially once you get about I would say anywhere from about here northward, it should actually stick to the ground for at least a couple of hours, but south of there shouldn't really stick too much. Now here's the 1 to 3 inch zone, and this is over parts of the northeast through the Great Lakes, and then in through the northwest and the northern plains. Now here's the 3 to 5 inch zone, and that's going to be over the interior northeast, Great Lakes, and northwest. Now I didn't want to put a 5 to 8 inch region, cause last time I did that, and then the system shifted farther north, and sometimes I do that farther south. So I'm gonna put a 3 to 5 inch zone for now. I didn't want to put lake effect snow either because that's very hard to forecast. But these areas generally could be seeing 5 to 8 inches, 8 to 12 inches, and then if your area usually sees more snowfall than surrounding areas, of course you could be seeing 5 to 8 inches, and then it's really hard to pinpoint here where there's a bunch of mountains, valleys. So I'm gonna go with a general 3 to 5 plus inches. So definitely know that you're gonna see at least 3 inches, probably 4 to 5 inches plus on the higher end of the scale. Anyways, if you did enjoy that video, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on the notifications. That was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.